Joe Biden to get in this race. Joe Biden would please Joe. I would think it would be a good thing if Joe Biden entered the race. Only one out of you.
And raise your hand if you think Joe Biden's qualified to be president.
And qualified? Yeah, I mean, I guess you could say qualified.
What are your reasons for not wanting Joe Biden to get in? Kyle, I'll start with you.
I really can't put my finger on it. I really don't have a good reason why I don't think he should run.
I'm not sure he would make the best president for us. I worry sometimes about some of the things that he's done and said.
He's a little bit, wishy-washy with some things, and I don't know. I mean, he seems like a really fun guy, but I don't know as, the commander-in-chief would be the best.
I don't know that we're going for fun guy right now.
Yeah.
He almost seems like a guy you wouldn't mind going to catching a game, having a few beers with.
Picture of him having a birthday party with his kids and him and Obama walking around with super soakers and stuff like that. That's funny and that's great, but I don't think as a president he would be, I don't know if he'd be able to stand up.
Shelby, no Joe Biden.
I think he's a really good support person, but I think he does have such a big heart that he can't be the face of the United States that he needs to be. But he's really smart and talented, so he's that good person to have, behind the scenes.
Bernice, no Joe Biden for you either.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with exactly what she said, and I just don't feel like the fire is there. It's not catching like some of the rest of the candidates.
I worry about his temperament a little bit and some of the decisions that he makes.
I have to tell a personal story. Our son died. I know there's no way that he could focus on what he needs to focus on for 5 years, probably.
Guys, really surprised. You just no takers on Joe Biden in Iowa or New Hampshire.
I'd say Mark and I both agree about this in our respective groups, that the most surprising thing on the Democratic side was the absolute lack of enthusiasm among these Democratic voters for Joe Biden to get in the race. A lot of them said if he's not in already, he doesn't really want it. A lot of them obviously sympathize with the situation with having lost Beau, but feel as though that has messed up his head. We played the Colbert interview for them, which a lot of people saw as very powerful and authentic. Most of the people in the room in both groups looked at the tape and said, that guy shouldn't run.
One person in the New Hampshire group said that guy shouldn't be vice president now. He's not up to being in the arena.
That's unbelievable, because my response was just the opposite.
Quite surprising. Focus groups are not polls, but if you listen to the voices in both these groups, much different than the polls. These were not people who even thought he should be in the race, let alone wanted him.
Let me tell you, Harold will say the same thing. I mean, these focus groups, hearing people, I a lot more from anecdotal evidence by knocking on 10 doors, taking what those 10 people randomly said, and reading the verbates and polls than I ever did from numbers. And if you have that many people over that, and they're saying this about Joe Biden or Jeb Bush on the Republican side, it's bad news.
I'm sure the Clinton campaign is probably conducting focus groups themselves. There's a lot to learn from what you guys played. For those folks sitting there to talk about her personality and her approach to talking about these issues, I hope they're watching a lot of this closely. The one positive I do take as I listen to them talk about Biden is they talked about whether or not the vice president, for Mrs. Clinton, the vice president may not be up to it because of things that have happened in his life. That bodes well for Mrs. Clinton as you get going here. Now, the Sanders stuff is real, and anybody in any campaign or Democratic side that suggests that this guy cannot continue to hold the fire that he has is kidding ourselves.